I never thought the day I found out about her affair would feel so quiet. No shouting, no shaking hands, no dramatic collapse to the floor. Just a strange stillness, like the house itself was holding its breath. My name is Daniel Harper. I'm 43, born in Ohio, raised on the idea that if you show up every day and do your part, things eventually work out. For 14 years, I believe my marriage to Evelyn worked that way too. Evelyn and I met in our late 20s. She was sharp, funny, the kind of woman who could talk to anyone and make them feel interesting. I was steadier, less exciting, but reliable. She used to say I was her anchor. I like that. I built my life around being solid. I worked logistics management, paid the mortgage, fixed what broke, planned for the future. We didn't have fireworks every night, but we had rhythm. Or at least, I thought we did. The distance didn't arrive all at once. It crept in slowly, disguised as routine. Late meetings. Phone always face down. Laughing at messages she wouldn't explain. When I asked how her day was, she answered with summaries instead of stories. I told myself this was normal. People grow comfortable. Comfort turns quiet. Quiet isn't dangerous, I thought. It's just life settling. The first real crack came on a Tuesday evening I still replay in my head. Evelyn was in the shower, her phone buzzing on the dresser. I wasn't snooping. I reached over to silence it, and a name flashed across the screen. Marcus. No last name. Just a heart emoji beside it. My stomach tightened, but I let it go. One name doesn't end a marriage. Not if you're reasonable. Weeks later, reason became harder to maintain. She guarded her phone like it contained state secrets. She dressed differently for work, lingered in the mirror longer, smelled like a different perfume. When I touched her, she stiffened. When I asked what was wrong, she said nothing, then accused me of overthinking. I apologized for doubting her. That part still stings. The truth came on a Friday afternoon. I got home early, earlier than usual, because a client canceled. Her car was already in the driveway, which surprised me. As I walked toward the bedroom, I heard laughter. Not the polite kind. The kind she used to save for me. I didn't rush in. I stood there, hand on the doorframe, listening to a reality I wasn't supposed to hear. A man's voice, familiar enough to terrify me. When I opened the door, there was no scrambling, no excuses. Just Evelyn, wrapped in a sheet, and Marcus, our mutual friend from barbecues and birthdays, pulling on his jeans like he'd done it there before. They both froze. In that moment, something inside me shut off. Not rage. Clarity. I didn't ask why. I didn't demand explanations. I turned around and walked to the closet. I packed methodically. Clothes, laptop, chargers, documents. Each item felt like proof that I still existed as a separate person. Evelyn followed me, crying, saying my name over and over like it was a rope she could throw to pull me back. When I zipped the bag, I headed for the door. That's when she yelled it. Not an apology, not remorse. She screamed, "You pushed me to this. You stopped making me feel alive." The words echoed down the hallway, sharp and desperate. I paused, just long enough to let them land. Then I realized something important. That sentence wasn't for me. It was for her. I didn't respond. I left the house we bought together, the future we planned together, and drove without a destination. I ended up at a small motel off the interstate, the kind with thin walls and buzzing lights. I slept better there than I had in months. The days that followed were a blur of logistics. Calling a lawyer, changing passwords, opening new accounts. I stayed calm, because calm was the only thing that still belonged to me. Evelyn tried to call, then text, then send emails filled with apologies that somehow always circled back to her pain. I didn't engage. I wasn't punishing her. I was protecting myself. Friends took sides. Some said affairs happen, that marriages survive worse. Others said I was cold for leaving without a fight. What none of them understood was that the fight had happened already. It happened every time I ignored my instincts. Every time I accepted distance as normal. Every time I shrank to keep the peace. Weeks later, Evelyn asked to meet. She wanted closure. I met her in a public cafe. She looked smaller, like the confidence that once filled a room had nowhere to sit. She said she made a mistake, that it didn't mean anything. I listened politely. Then I told her the truth. It meant something to me. It meant the end. Walking out of that cafe, I felt lighter than I had in years. Betrayal hurts, but denial hurts longer. I didn't leave because I hated her. I left because I finally respected myself. That day I packed my bags wasn't the day my marriage ended. It was the day I stopped lying to myself. I learned that loyalty without reciprocity becomes self-neglect. Love without honesty turns into obligation. I still believe in commitment, just not the version that requires silence as payment. Somewhere ahead, there is a life that doesn't ask me to disappear to keep someone else comfortable. I'm building that life now, slowly, deliberately, without drama. And for the first time in a long time, the quiet feels honest. I wake up each morning knowing I chose dignity over denial. And that choice, even on hard days, feels like freedom earned, not given. It is enough to move forward, unburdened, steady, and finally accountable to myself alone. That realization changed everything I thought I owed anyone. Forever onward,